In a nation pulsing with innovation and ambition, a select few rise above the rest. They are visionaries who redefine industries, they uplift our communities and steer the country towards a future of limitless possibilities. These are trailblazers whose ideas spark revolutions. Their courage inspires millions and leadership that shapes the very fabric of modern India. As we look to honor excellence, the spotlight turns to those exceptional business leaders whose impact transcends balance sheets. They're true contenders for the Indian of the Year, the business category.
India is seen as one of the fastest growing markets, a preferred investment hub and a global spotlight. Inspiring and successful entrepreneurs and business leaders make that growth story worth reading. Albinder Dhinsa rebranded Grofers into a leading quick commerce platform, Blinkit. Captured 45% market share with a gross order value exceeding $3 billion. Rajesh Jejurikar has steered Mahindra's bold transformation from legacy to electric, revitalizing the SUV portfolio. He has driven innovation, global growth and sustainability at one of India's top industrial firms. Roshni Nadar Malhotra became chairperson of HCL Tech in 2020 and since then has steered the company's strategic initiatives, driving its growth as a $13.3 billion IT services leader. In October 2025, she emerged as India's richest woman. Baba Kalyani heads Bharat Forge, which via its subsidiary Kalyani Strategic Systems Limited has moved aggressively into defense tech. The most notable being the Bharat 150 multi-payload drone. KSSL, meanwhile, exported 100 artillery guns in 2024, a landmark in India's defense exports. And completing the list is Falguni Nair, a former banker who transformed Nykaa from a 2012 garage startup into a beauty retail empire valued at nearly 40,000 crores. Launching Nykaa at 50, she disrupted India's beauty and lifestyle retail sector, with their shares surging 40% in 2025. As the world hails India's resilience and economic stability, Indian of the Year in its 15th edition sets out to honor those who shine brighter than the rest.
All of them do shine brighter than the rest, but we do have to pick one, and what that one choice is going to be, what are the determining factors for that? Let's open that up. Sunil Alag, market strategist and managing director of SK Advisors, is with us. Brand guru and founder of Harish Bijur Inc. Harish Bijur is also with us. Afroz Shah, environmentalist and lawyer, is with us on the broadcast, and my colleague Chandra Shrikant, executive editor of technology and startups at Money Control, is with us as well. Sunil Alag, let me begin by asking you, you've seen the kind of array of business leaders that we have. Who would be your pick and why?
Look, I'd pick up, I know four of them personally, but Rajesh I don't know. But all the same, look, I would pick up Binder of Dhinsa. He's the Al Binder, Mr. Dhinsa of Blinkit, because he has made an impact on individuals in India through Blinkit. Now that he's bringing everything in front of everyone, therefore, in that space which he has created as Blinkit, it's number one, and therefore he would pick on. See, Falguni has created when all the women feel so much nicer about themselves, and so has other people that has been there. But I would pick up Mr. Dhinsa of Blinkit any day.
Harish Bijur, what would be your choice?
Okay, it's terrible for me to make a comment at this point of time because I work with three of them very closely. And therefore, I'm going to be unfair to those three. And I'm going to...
And you'll still be spoiled for choice, so well, that's that.
I know, so even then, the remaining two. I would rather pick Albinder, fundamentally because for me, an Indian of the Year is a person who touches the largest numbers of people intrusively, fruitfully and productively. These are very important things for me. So the list is terrific. I mean, we have, if you count the billions of dollars we're talking about, there's a pecking order. I'm not going by that pecking order, but I'm going on Albinder at this point of time.
And we'll talk about more about Mr. Deensa. But Chandra, I want to talk about, we're talking about touching lives, and it's not just about businesses, it's also about the larger impact. And many would say in that sense, Bharat Forge and what Baba Kalyani has been doing at the helm of that is something that does speak volumes, because we're also talking about where the country goes in the current scenario with our defense and the kind of impact that has on the larger picture for India as well.
Right, and if you really look at Bharat Forge, the way they have diversified into so many areas, they started out as a automotive component maker, but they have huge ambitions in defense, in other areas. And defense is a big bet for Bharat Forge. They've been manufacturing artillery. Baba Kalyani has been very vocal about the fact that India should get into manufacturing weapons in a big way. Remember, it's also been a slightly challenging year for Bharat Forge because they have operations globally, and we've seen the way tariffs were imposed on India by the US, and they've sort of been focusing on building very resilient supply chains. They've been investing in local ecosystems. They've been investing in markets like the US. So I think from an overall business perspective, trade perspective, Bharat Forge, I would think, is in a much more challenging position. The fact that they have weathered all these storms, that they are making a very big bet on defense in a year when we saw Operation Sindoor, we saw a lot of Indian companies powering India's armed forces. So I think from a timing perspective, from a context perspective, Bharat Forge is on a strong footing. But I also get where Sunil and Harish are coming from. Blinkit is a comeback story. People literally wrote off Grofers. It had to be rescued by Zomato. They then rebranded it into Blinkit, and today it has a 55% market share in the quick commerce space. So Blinkit, I think, is a great comeback story. But in terms of strategic importance for India, ambitions, global reach, Baba Kalyani is a visionary. No taking away from that.
And we'll talk about comeback stories, because many would suggest that Nykaa and what they've done in 2025 is also something that would refer to that. So a lot of people did not see the potential that Nykaa had, at least until last year. They did have a rough patch themselves. But Afroz Shah, I want to ask you, who would be your choice from this array of brilliance that we have as far as business leaders go? Because it's not just about businesses, right? It's also about sustainable businesses. It's also about the kind of corporate social responsibilities that they show. And I'm sure that's something that weighs on the minds of people like you.
Absolutely, and it weighs on millions and millions of people in India. A profit-making company also must be a sustainable company. And if you look at, if there's 5 nominees, I always say that, they're great leaders in their true sense. They've driven their company, they've contributed to the GDP, they have been success story. But if you ask me out of the 5, to me, Falguni Nayar stands out, with utmost capability and ability to push. At the 50 years, you've started a company and push it. Of course, on sustainability count, Nykaa has been not doing so well as a company, where you have a law in India called EPR, where you're supposed to take your plastic packaging back. But I still will vouch for Falguni Nayar, and Rajesh Jujurkar also stands out, because in the EV market, especially when you're pushing your EV vehicles, and where global warming is now on the top of the agenda of the governments. Our country has defined the 250 goals. The Prime Minister has set it out, Modi ji has set it out. So these guys will be crucial players to put that agenda forward. And I think Falguni Nayar and Rajesh Jujurkar. Of course, Albinder has been a unique story from loss making to pitching where nobody thought Grofer could come out. But I think I'll vouch for Falguni and Rajesh.
And speaking
on the climate change and sustainability aspect.
And speaking about EVs and Rajesh Jujurkar, Sunil, like you said, that's one person that you don't personally know. So I want to prod you a little more on that, because we're talking about sustainability. We're talking about, like Afroz Shah also said, the push that the government also of the day has been making towards the EV segment. We're seeing more players now in the market as well. In that sense, do you think that what he has done with Mahindra, what Mahindra can do from here on, that's something that should be applauded as well?
No, it should be. All 5 are very important for him, as Harish has said. But Look, if I was to pick one, it would have to be because Nykaa has to prove there's competition coming up in that area. In the next 4 or 5 years, it will have to prove itself. So therefore, Nykaa so far has done well, but will it do well in the next 4 years? We don't know. We know her quite well. I know her personally, but I would have backed her fully. But I would say that Nykaa is so far done well, but whether it's sustainable, that model is sustainable or not, is something which we will argue about, and we will argue till the cows come home. Because in defense, Baba Kalyani has done well, but his family has gone into a lot of dispute. And therefore, now to bring and to make him business person of the year in defense area, there are so many others who would come in. But Dinsa has, according to me, done a lot of work in that, taking a loss-making groper into changing the name, into affecting the lives of individuals in front of me. And me personally, in that space, Dinsa has done enough for me to back him.
So he does seem to be the popular choice, at least as far as this table goes. But Chandra, I do want to ask you about the EV segment and where we are going with the automobile sector and what Mahindra has done. Do you think
Mahindra
that is...
has done well. Mahindra has done well, but whether it is, there are enough people like the Indian companies are there for Japanese and all that. They have not come into the electric market as yet.
Correct.
And therefore, to make him and make them into number one or the business person of the year, I would think twice.
Sure. Chandra, would you concur? Would you agree on that? Do you have a differing opinion?
No, I think all of them are very good, but it's also been a good... Yeah, it's also
absolutely, which is why they are a part of this.
No, but from a milestone perspective, I just want to say that it's been a very good year for Rajesh Jejurikar as well. You saw the M&M results yesterday. It was again a very good quarter. If you look at their market share in the SUV segment, close to 25%. If you look at their market share in the the tractor and farm equipment segment, 43%. And Rajesh Jejurikar is someone who's been very passionate about pushing the pedal on EVs, which is why Mahindra is betting so big on its products like XEV and BE. So that's something that he's been very big on. And I think it's been a special year for Rajesh Jejurikar because incidentally his brother Shailesh Jejurikar became the global CEO of Procter & Gamble and the first person of Indian origin to do so. So I think from that perspective, it's also been a good year for them. I also want to touch upon Falguni and Roshni. Falguni, no doubt, starting up at 50, creating a space for Nykaa, building brands like K-Beauty out of it, co-creating that with Katrina Kaif. All that is great. But you have to remember that it's a very competitive market. Even if you look at Nykaa Fashion, Myntra is a big competitor. Ajio is a big competitor. If you look at the makeup segment, Tiara is a big competitor. So it really remains to be seen how they execute in the next couple of years. Roshni, I think more than the business, her focus on philanthropy has been, very, very deep. I mean, she's also the richest woman in India, but she's been more focused on the Shiv Nadar Foundation, on education, skilling, and so on.
Harish Bijur, I do want to talk about not just their personal growth or their company's growth, but also what they bring to the table in terms of inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs, so to say, because that's really what we do want to do. We do want to honor change makers. In that sense, do you think Dinsa would still be your first choice, or do you think that's something that all of these people would inspire?
In fact, I would put it this way, that, if you're talking about inspirational characters, out of these 5, I've been very unfair to the 3 I know. Now I'm going to come in and say that these 3 are also very big inspirational folk in India today. Why India? Globally. So the older they are, the bigger they are. Baba Kalyani is a hugely inspirational persona. Roshni Nadar, for what she did after taking charge, completely inspirational. And, to say that at her age, she has achieved what she has, it's big stuff. Falguni, every time we say that she started a company when she was 50, I think age is just a number. But Falguni has done such a brilliant job. And so goes with Rajesh for the kind of effort that he's done in EV. And Albinder is the greenhorn of the lot. And if you ask me, Albinder would be the least inspirational of them all. But Indian of the Year, in this space, I think Albinder must get it because his business touches the largest numbers. His business creates livelihoods for the largest numbers. He's created a kind of a organization which is deep and wide and fruitfully, productively. People are touched in a big, big way. And it is the future to an extent. Not to say that any of the stuff that we're talking about is a past. So I'm betting for Albinder once again. But inspirational, all these characters,
Absolutely, and
except
we
for
were spoiled
Albinder.
for choice when
Totally
we were making that list as well. Of course, we had to restrict the list to just these 5, but there were many more who could have made it. And in a few days, we'll find out who exactly is going to be the Indian of the Year as far as the business category goes.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies, in association with HDFC Sky. Make money matter. Explore more. Express more. And Polycab, India's safe, happy connection.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies over 200 years. RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies over 200 years.
I killed my plants.
Ah, bummer. Try putting them in the shower.
On it. Am I supposed to be in the shower with them?
Definitely not.
The all-new Motorola Razr 60, dangerously cool.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies over 200 years.
पता है टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस आपकी फैमिली के लिए कितना जरूरी है? इतना जरूरी है कि भारत सरकार ने इस पे जीएसटी पूरी तरह से हटाकर 0 कर दिया है। पॉलिसी बाजार पर अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies over 200 years.
Across India's mountains, our coastlines, our bustling cities, there seems to be a quiet revolution that's taking root. That revolution is being fought and led by everyday heroes. They are fighting not just for India's future, but for the planet's future. They are India's climate warriors, they are innovators, they are activists and scientists and community leaders because they refuse to stand by as the earth warms up and the ecosystems that we live in vanish. As the nation seeks to honor those shaping a sustainable tomorrow, these changemakers emerge as powerful contenders.
Climate change is a real and undeniable threat to our entire civilization. But how many of us take this threat seriously enough to not only make changes to our own lives, but also to inspire others and change their lives? In this year's edition of Indian of the Year, we celebrate 5 such climate warriors. Vinay Manchala started the initiative Earth Needs You in 2021 with just 5 friends. When people his age partied the weekend away, Vinay and his community of volunteers cleaned up 1 lake at a time every weekend. Morningstar Kongthao founded the Living Bridge Foundation in 2018 for preservation of the unique cultural heritage of Meghalaya, the Living Root Bridges. He travels across villages, sensitizing people about the value of root bridges and why they must be preserved. By championing the Refuse If You Cannot Reuse initiative as a child, Aditya Mukherjee has helped eliminate millions of single-use plastic items from the hospitality sector. By March 2018, he had helped remove over 26 million plastic straws from hotels alone. Garvita Gulati, known as India's water girl, began her journey as a change maker at the age of 13 by building simple solutions to solve the global water crisis. She was the youngest lister on the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia Pacific list of social entrepreneurs. Living in Delhi, Vidyut Mohan first-hand experienced the hazardous smog every winter. That prompted him to start Takachar, a company that converts waste biomass into marketable products at a low cost. The initiative won him the Young Champions of the Earth 2020 award. On November 28th, one of them will take the award home, but the honor belongs to all of them who change lives.
Panelists continue to be with us. Sunil Alag, Harish Bijur, Chandra Shrikant, my colleague, and Afroz Shah also. Afroz, I want to talk about this first with you because, you know, when we were talking about the previous segment, we were talking about age just being a number, and it's quite the opposite in this category because there are at least 2 out of these 5 that started when they were barely teenagers, isn't it?
Absolutely, you know, Poonam, to see young India rise like this, you know, taking the bull by the horn. Nobody, if you had taken 10 years back in 2015, nobody would have thought these teenagers would step up the pedal to protect the planet and protect this country. I think it's a marvelous story of all these 5 people up. I'm so happy to hear them, and we need millions of them to stand up. It's just not those 5 of them. We are 1.5 billion. If this earth has to be protected and our country has to be protected from the scourge of global warming, plastic pollution, they have to rise up. It's just an amazing story.
So who would be your pick? Would it be one of the 2 teenagers, or would it be somebody else from the from the list?
It is very, very difficult. It is, you know, you say that first among the equal, we have a cabinet system in this country. It will be very difficult to pick up, but if you want me to bet it at a young age, if you start and you have got the right direction in your head and the right thought process, I think Aditya stands out among all 4 of them for me. And because of the simple reason that at a young age, he thought about this problem of plastic pollution. And I'm equally passionate, you know, about my journey. So, yes, you know, I'm slightly biased towards he being selected. And his campaign to get plastic straws, though plastic straw was eventually banned in this country, you know, the law came into being in different states, different laws came about. But Aditya, to me, stands out because of his young age. But at the same time, you have to give it to Vidyut. I mean, look at Vidyut's run, you know. I mean, he became the young champion of Earth by UNEP. He's got different accolades to his name. He's doing fantastically. The only thing is, you know, if you categorize Poonam into 2 aspects of it, one is inspirational and one is reach. Of course, there are many people who can be inspirational, but if your reach is wider, you make that inspiration get into motion.
Sure.
And in that category, Aditya is slightly ahead. And so is Garvita Gulati. I mean, look at her, what she's done with the problem of water scarcity. And of course, Vinay Muchala, I do a lot of cleaning in Mumbai. So he cleans the lake in South India. I think they are all doing well. But if you ask me to bet, I think Aditya and Vidyut and Garvita, they could toss between the 3 of them to snatch the
Sure, so you don't have
you
don't have a number 1, but you have the top 3. Harish Bijur, I'd like to ask you, what are your picks from this?
Okay. This is an easy one for me because, you know, I'm saying that the younger you are, the more passionate you are about causes, the less cynical you are. And each one of these is a young soul. But for me, I would actually pick Morningstar. Fundamentally, why would I pick him? I would say that he has a story which is different. And, you know, because every category that I'm looking at, if you have picked one, there are maybe 2,000 more who do similar stuff in their own terrain. These 5 have been picked. But here, a differentiation that I see is the Living Root Bridge, the personification of it into the soul of Meghalaya and everything that comes, the Khasi tribe, which is totally deeply involved into this. I think, you know, I would go by that. For 3 reasons. 1, there is a story. 2, it is totally nature-centric. 3, it educates, you know, the local people to actually contribute and participate in something which is energizing. In fact, not only 3, let me go to 4, a category not blessed by too many other people or looked at by many other people. And 5, there's one more, which is, it comes from a terrain which is out of the normal eye, which is out of the reach of the normal Indian PR eye. And therefore, Meghalaya, Living Roots Bridge, I would go with it.
So it's not just about educating the local people, it's also about educating the rest of the country and the rest of the world who probably look at this only as a tourist destination. Not too many at that either. But Sunil Alagh, what would be your choices?
See, I am chairman of NIT, National Institute of Technology in Meghalaya. So he's my favorite. The Morning Star is my favorite because I've been to Meghalaya a number of times. And what he's done is quite amazing. But I would pick 2 people, the one with water, that lady who has done Gulati, who's one with water, because water is something which is going to be very, very important in India. More than plastics, more than anything else, more than cleansing all the rivers, which many of us are trying to do. But water is something which we've ignored completely. And therefore, Meghalaya, Morning Star, or the water lady is the most important, because of the 5 that they have chosen, you have chosen the best. But the water scene is going to be very, very important. And that's why I don't know it at all. But water in itself is going to be very important. And Meghalaya I've been to. Morning Star would be my, apart from the 5 reasons that he's given, I would add a personal reason. I have not met any one of them, but they are young enough. And the Meghalaya is the northeast area, which is one area which is ignored completely by almost everybody in India. And it's about time it was brought into the attention of everyone.
And the spotlight definitely is not just on Morning Star, but also on the state of Meghalaya, like you were pointing out. And clearly our jury too had a very hard task when we gave them this list, because they're all in their individual right, Chandra, extremely ambitious, extremely successful in doing what they're doing already at a very young age as well.
Yeah, I mean, people sort of stereotype youngsters as, just scrolling Instagram and being online all the time. But, these 5 individuals are hugely inspirational. They've taken up such important causes at such a young age. I agree, Garvita, with the water-related cause, Aditya with single-use plastic. But I would really, really like to see some change with respect to if Vidyut solution works and if Delhi is the better for it. Luckily, I'm not in Delhi. I'm based in Bangalore. But even the images and visuals that we see on a daily basis is crazy. I mean, it's a gas chamber. So I think we need more and more climate warriors to, really help come up with breakthrough solutions to address the Delhi climate, the Delhi crisis, the winter and stubble burning crisis.
And with the Indian of the Year, we do hope that we channel that sort of energy into people who do want to take this up, but somewhere are hesitant. Hopefully, this does inspire them. The stories that we are putting out here do inspire them to take up this challenge. I thank you all for joining us here on the special edition. As we bring it to a close, we will be talking about Indians of the Year. We would like to award all of them, or at least many, many of them, but unfortunately the choice has to be made. We did leave that difficult task to our empaneled jury to ensure that those who shine bright continue to shine brighter for the rest of us.